I'd like to call this meeting of the New Hanover County Board of Education to order. Would you please stand for our invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and the posting of colors. We'll now have our invocation. Lord, we thank you for this day, this opportunity to come together. We thank you for the many blessings that we all enjoy. The blessings, number one, of living in such a great nation. We thank you for those that serve tonight in all capacities, both here and around the world. We thank you for this opportunity to gather here tonight to discuss educational issues concerning our young people. Please grant us guidance and wisdom in all that takes place here tonight. In your holy name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated, please. At this time, I want to compliment Winter Park Elementary School. And I think Principal Mr. Paul Slovik's here tonight. I see Paul in the back. Thank you for being here, and thank you for this wonderful group singing. And under the instructors, Aaron Quellar. Did I pronounce that correctly? And now the children have a microphone. If you'd tell us your name and what, we know you're from Winter Park Elementary School, and let us know what grade you're in, please.
My name's Dorothy, and I'm in 4th grade, and I'm from Winter Park School.
My name is Maria, and I'm in 4th grade, and I go to Winter Park School.
My name is Samuel, and I'm a 5th grader at Winter Park School.
My name is Sammy, and I'm in the 4th grade at Winter Park Elementary School.
My name is Maya, I'm in 4th grade, and I go to Winter Park Elementary School.
My name is Steven, and I'm in the 4th grade at Winter Park Elementary School.
I'm Janet. I'm in 5th grade and I go to Winter Park Elementary School.
I'm Giovanni, and I go to 4th grade at Winter Park Elementary School.
I'm Josh Kelch, and I'm in 5th grade, and I go to Winter Park School.
My name is Zoe, and I'm in 4th grade at Winter Park Elementary School.
My name is Nina, and I'm in the 5th grade, and I go to Winter Park.
My name is Kaylee, and I'm in 4th grade, and I go to Winter Park.
My name is Heaven Ray, and I'm in 4th grade and I go to Winter Park Elementary School.
Thank you. If we could have our color guard, if they would come back in, please. If they'd come forward, and there's a microphone up here, and if you would introduce yourselves, we know you're the color guard from New Hanover High School. If you'd give us your name, your rank, and what grade you're in, please. You did an outstanding job.
My name is Cadet Sergeant First Class Alex Moon, and I'm a sophomore at New Hanover High School.
I'm Cadet Sergeant Keelan Keever, and I go to New Hanover High School.
I'm Cadet Staff Sergeant Gabriel, and I go to New Hanover High School.
I'm Cadet Sergeant First Class Jose Villatoro, and I'm a sophomore at New Hanover High School.
And their principal, and New Hanover's principal, Mr. James McAdams. I see James in the back. Thank you. And the ROTC groups are under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Mark Hafer and Master Sergeant Jose Denegine. So we appreciate the. There they are. Thank you very much. I particularly enjoyed it because this night was really kind of special for me. I know it's hard to believe Winter Park School could be that old, but I attended Winter Park School, and do you
see the shock on her?
I know, I saw that, and to shock you even more, and I also was in the ROTC at New Hanover High School many years ago, and I was super impressed because after that I spent some years in the Navy. In the Navy, we could have never mastered the maneuvers y'all were doing up here. Isn't that right, Mr. Hance? Where's Mr. Hance? He would agree with me. We'd have had trouble, but you did a very good job. You look very sharp. Thank you. No, that's the Okay, next item on the agenda, Ms. Adams, would you call the roll, please?
Donald S. Case.
Here.
Jeanette S. Nichols.
Here.
Janice A. Kavanaugh.
Here.
Tammy J. Koval.
Here.
Lisa Easted.
Here.
Edward B. Higgins.
Here.
Bruce T. Shutt.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Any additions or deletions? Hearing none, motion to.
I just have one question.
All right.
Since we were in closed session before, did we cancel out of the closed session to come back into general session, or we just starting all over again?
We did not.
We did not.
No. Motion to go out of closed session?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion we go into open session.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I called us to order, so I guess now we're back to where we should be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kavanaugh. But we didn't approve the agenda, did we?
No.
Don't have a motion, second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. Under approval of the minutes, you want to do all these in one motion or individually?
In one motion, I think
Unless,
we've
is there
read
any
them
questions
carefully.
on any of the minutes?
I
Okay.
second the motion.
To approve all at one time?
Mhm.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They are approved. Thank you. Next item, item 4 is recognition of achievement.
agenda. However, it is very special, and it's so special that I will ask our chairman of the board, Mr. Hayes, to come forward and present it.
Thank you, Ms. Quattlebaum. Our first recognition this evening is not listed on the agenda, but is very special. On behalf of the board, I would like to recognize our very own Dr. Tim Markley, who was recently named the 2015-2016 Southeast Regional Superintendent of the Year by the Superintendent's Education Alliance. Superintendent Markley has been at the helm of the county's school system since October of 2010. Formerly, he served as superintendent for Catawba County Schools from 2005 to 2010, where he was named the Northwestern Regional Superintendent of the Year in 2009, and a finalist for the Craig Phillips North Carolina Superintendent of the Year in 2010. Dr. Markley began his career in education in 1992 with Cumberland County Schools, serving as a high school history teacher. He was selected as a North Carolina's Principal's Fellow in 1996. In addition to his role as superintendent, he serves as an adjunct professor for the Watson School of Education for the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. Most recently, he led the campaign that helped the district pass a $160 million bond referendum. The board is very proud that Dr. Markley has been awarded the Regional Superintendent of the Year. It is well deserved. We appreciate his leadership as we work and grow together, striving to improve the educational experience for all of our students. At this time, I'd like Dr. Markley, if you'll come forward.
Congratulations, Dr. Markley. And our next recognition goes to Aisling Hennahan of Hoggard High School. Aisling has been awarded the prestigious Moorhead Kane Scholarship by the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. She was unable to be with us tonight, but I think I saw her principal, Dr. Sullivan. If you would come forward and accept this recognition on behalf of Aisling. Congratulations. That's so funny. Our next recognition is also very special, and we would like to recognize Ms. Janae Young, who is an 8th grade student from Noble Middle School. Janae has been named the Rockamy Middle School Student of the Year. And for those of you who may not know what Rockamy is, it stands for Region O Council for the Advancement of Minorities in Engineering. At the recent Rockamy Jamboree, Janae received a plaque and an iPad based on her essay, What Rockamy Means to Me. And we have that essay hot linked on our agenda in case you want to read it. And she also has an excellent GPA, many extracurricular activities, and many other outstanding achievements. And also, if Janae's family is here, would you please stand? I'd like to point out that Janae's mother is Lenore Young, who is a member of our bond committee that worked so hard to help us pass the bond referendum. So this is an excellent family, and we are so proud of you, Janae. Please come forward. Congratulations to Janae and the Young family. Our next recognition goes to 2 students from Gregory Elementary School of Science, Mathematics, and Technology. Orion Brown and Jasper Stafford. Orion. Thank you, whoever said that. Thank you, Dad. They received an exemplary score, the highest score you can get at state, and equivalent to first place with their project called Upgrading the Rosetta Probe. Orion and Jasper, please come forward. And if your families are here, would you please stand? And also their great principal, Mrs. Krista Holland, would you please stand to all be recognized? It's so great to see our science magnet leading the way at the science program. Congratulations again, Ms. Holland and to Gregory. Our next recognition goes to Ms. Kathy Coble, the Child Nutrition Manager at Virgo Preparatory Academy. Ms. Coble has been selected as the 2015 North Carolina Manager of the Year by the School Nutrition Association. Wow. This award recognizes the work she does every day to make sure our students at Virgo are well nourished and prepared for success. Ms. Coble, would you please come forward, and thank you for all you do. Happy our students at Virgo are eating well. And our final recognition of the evening is for the Health Occupation Students of America State Competition winner. The Hoggard HOSA team won first place in the Community Awareness Team event at the State HOSA event. Together, the team established a project called HOPE, which stands for Helping Other People with Epilepsy, the first ever epilepsy support group in Wilmington. They will be meeting with the North Carolina State Epilepsy Foundation for sponsorship in mid-June before competing at the HOSA National Leadership Convention in Anaheim, California, late June. So the team is led by the health science teacher, Mary Morotis, and the team members are Lenora Arnold. If you would come forward when I say your name. Danielle Chaston. And Ismail Urbina. So congratulations again to you all. Congratulations to Hoggard. And that's their teacher. Okay. Congratulations again, Hoggard High School. And we do have one more recognition. The final recognition this evening goes to New Hanover High School's engineering design course, the students who took home first place in the vehicle design category at the Electric Vehicle Challenge final event. The team has been working on perfecting their vehicle design for the past 3 years. The students competed in a variety of STEM events against other students from across the East Coast, and they took home second and third place in other STEM areas. So at this time, we would like to congratulate their teacher, Mr. Trey Moore, and his team of students. If Mr. Moore and any of his students who were able to be here tonight, if you would come forward, we would like to recognize you. Mr. Moore, would you introduce your student?
This is Duncan Mortimer. He's one of, 16 others who put in a lot of time this school year and countless others before this school year who helped us get to where we were this year. So a lot of hands over a lot of years. Sure. It's a full-size working vehicle that carried one passenger, about 30 feet, but for 3 years in the making. Pardon? Yes, and our competition is very, very tough, so we were very proud of what we did this year. It was a huge accomplishment.
Thank you very much.
That's great. Congratulations again, Mr. Moore and the New Hanover High School Wildcats. And that concludes our ceremony. Thank you so much.
Next item on the agenda is our call to the audience pertaining to agenda items. We've had no one sign up, so next we'll go to item 6, administrative personnel. Item A, administrative recommendation, appendix A, Dr. Markley.
I can't hear you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, you cannot hear me?
No. Speak up, boy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. First recommendation is for an interim position. Matilda Gurley will serve as an interim assistant principal in New Hanover beginning May 18th, the remainder of the school year. She was an AP at New Hanover, teacher at Virgo, and prior to her retirement, she was the principal at Isaac Bayer Early College, and she has served as an interim assistant principal in the past at New Hanover. So her contract will be May 18th to June 15th. And for anybody who knows Tilly, I mean, she's one of our better folks who's always willing to come back and help.
Move for approval. Second.
Comments, questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved.
All right, second vacancy we're going to fill is Lake Forest Academy. As you are aware, Krista Jackson will be transferring over to Blair Elementary School because of the retirement of Ms. Stock, the principal. Dr. Jennings, who just recently completed her doctorate, so congratulations, serves as the assistant principal at Aldrin Elementary, previously served as a principal at Snipes, and an assistant principal and an intensive behavior support teacher at DC Virgo, and a director of alternative pathways to success at Lakeside. Dr. Jennings' administrative contract will be July 1, 2015 until June 30th, 2019. She received her bachelor's in special ed, a master's degree in school administration, and her doctoral degree, all from UNC Wilmington. And she is here tonight.
Move for approval.
Second.
Comments, questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Ms. Jennings?
Approved.
Thank you. Second recommendation is for instructional services, arts education. The recommendation is Timothy McCoy. If you've ever been here on our steel drum night, that's Mr. McCoy's band that'll be playing. You can't leave until we've got somebody who's got a steel drum band that can take over.
This is true.
Currently serves as a band teacher at New Hanover. Previously served as director of bands in Oak Hill High School. His contract will run from July 1st until June 30th, 2017. He has his BA in music from West Liberty State College in West Virginia.
Move for approval. Second.
Comments, questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Final one is not a recommendation, but just an announcement of an administrative move. Bert Kilpatrick, who is at College Road Early Childhood Center, will be moving to Bellamy Elementary School effective July 1st. Yes, and Mr. McCoy, please stand up. James, you bring anybody with you or just you? Is there anybody with you?
No, there are the members.
That concludes the administrative recommendations.
Okay, thank you. Item B, under administrative personnel is superintendent's evaluation. A public statement that I would like to release regarding the superintendent's evaluation for 2015 reads as follows. The Board of Education has completed its annual evaluation of Dr. Timothy Markley, Superintendent of New Hanover County Schools, and is generally pleased with the direction our system is taking. The Board of Education appreciates the superintendent's efforts in educating the public on the needs of the system, which resulted in the passage of the recent school bond referendum. Dr. Markley continues to dedicate his efforts to increasing graduation rates and improving test scores. The superintendent has been responsive to concerns and input brought forward by the Board of Education and the community.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Higgins.
I would like to make a motion that we extend the superintendent's contract for 2 additional years, beginning July 1. Beginning July 1.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I will not be voting for this. And I want to make it clear it is not a reflection on Dr. Markley's performance. It is instead a fundamental difference with length of contracts. And I just have a problem with extending a contract. It does not serve our school system well, in my opinion. But I do thank Dr. Markley for his continued dedication to our school system, and I wanted to make that clear.
Any other comments?
I will echo Ms. Eastep's comments in that I think Dr. Markley has done a fantastic job. He has, especially with me personally, reached out and done a great job in trying to bridge some communication gaps that have opened up over the past year or so. So I absolutely think he's done a fantastic job, but I agree with Ms. Eastep in that I am not a proponent of long-term contracts in that they do put us in a difficult position in terms of things that arise. So again, it's not a reflection on Dr. Markley at all. I approve of the job he's done, and as I said, he's done a fantastic job, but I will not vote for this either.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
No. 4-3 vote. Next item on the agenda, item 7, under Head Start. Head Start report from Liaison Appendix B, Mr. Higgins.
Mr. Chairman, for some reason, I am unable to open my appendix. Oh, you got the appendix? Okay, I'm sorry. And I normally would have made a copy and brought it with me, and I apologize for not having done that. But I would just simply report that there are currently 260 students enrolled in the Head Start program. Thank you. 103 of those are 3-year-olds, 157 are 4-year-olds. As I have pointed out in the past, Head Start is required to serve 4-year-olds before they can admit 3-year-olds. So as a result of that, there are currently 120 students on a waiting list, all of whom are 3-year-olds. They had an average daily attendance of 91%, which meets the minimum more than the minimum requirement of 85% attendance. And we have 27 special needs children. As required, we have at least 26. As an update, they have received so far 660 applications have been submitted. 516 of those applications are for 4-year-olds. 144 of those applications are for 3-year-olds. They have completed their first Head Start audit of environmental health. The self-assessment data is being consolidated. The program completed a mandatory self-assessment each year. We were supposed to have had a visit by the Region 4 Program Specialist, Ms. Lisa Goldman. However, she had to cancel, I believe, because of illness, but that is going to be rescheduled for a later date. And they have received the Dedication to Education bonus from Smart Start of New Hanover County, which is a one-time $1,500 bonus that will be awarded for instructional resources to continue a high quality. And Mr. Chairman, that completes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. Any questions or comments from Mr. Higgins?
I have a question. Mr. Higgins, in looking at the mix of, if I get this microphone, in looking at the mix of 660 folks of applications, let me see if I get this right. You've got a large number of 4-year-olds that'll be, I guess, moving out of there. So as you go into next year, would you, I guess you would anticipate that there'll be a lot, you have a maximum of 660, so you probably have the reverse, a lot of 3-year-olds. Are we comfortable that we're going to get those applications in?
I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. The enrollment at Johnson is 260. However, there are facilities around the county that absorb the rest of those 100.
I see. Okay.
And so, and they're not all, it's not a case that there's 660 applications and a lot of those 516 4-year-olds are going to be denied. They will just be attending locations other than Johnson.
That answered it. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have a question about the self-assessment data. Is that an internal control, or is that for the state?
Mr. Higgins, I can offer some assistance with that.
Okay.
It's required by the Head Start program.
Okay.
So they determine the aspects of the program that we look at for the self-assessment.
Okay, so they established the protocol for it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Any other comments? Thank you, Mr. Higgins. Item 8 under information for first reading. Item A, policies. Mrs. Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. We have 5 policies for first reading. They are definitely in the draft form, so we're going to need a great deal of input from the board as well as the community. The first one, I'm going to ask Mr. Hance if he and Mr. Bullard to work us through this one. This is policy 4600, disposition of personal property. And Mr. Hance?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair. As you can tell, Mr. Bullard has completely rewritten this policy of disposition of personal property in order to bring us into compliance with the new statutes and how we're actually disposing of the property as compared to what the old policy related. So this does go through the many aspects of disposition and the methods by which we can dispose of personal property. It lays it out in great detail. So if there are any questions.
Any question, Mr. Okay. Mr. Bullard, did you want to add anything to that?
The only thing I would add, Ms. Nichols, is that the policy does track the statutory requirements, and the whole idea behind the statute is that when the school board disposes of surplus personal property, it is to get fair value for it. It can't just donate it. It must auction it or use other methods designed to get fair value for it. And that does track the requirements of North Carolina statutes.
Okay, thank you. Our next policy is the employee volunteer dress code 6435. And if you'll recall, we did a survey with the principals and got some really interesting input and support for the policy as well as some additional changes. So I'm going to ask Dr. Welmers if he will share with us the changes.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. The first thing that we did with the policy was to change it from the employee volunteer dress code to two separate policies, one for employees and one for volunteers. And the main changes in the one concerning, which is 6435, the employee dress code, concern the addition of one that the board expects that the personnel of the school system shall adhere to this policy, and that the goal here is for a professional dress that it goes throughout the system. The second part that really was a change was the addition of looking at tattoos or other appliances that an individual, an employee, or an applicant might wear concerning, say, a gauge in the ear or a tattoo that was visible on the face or neck. Scroll down to the actual change. The first one under the appearance that are prohibited would include a visible tattoo on the neck, head, or face, with the idea that if there was such a tattoo, that tattoo could either be covered or shadowed by the hair, or in other words, not seen by students during the workday. That would be for, and this would basically apply to applicants who are looking at coming into the system. We also changed a little bit that coaches may wear shorts and other athletic wear when they're in a situation of coaching. If they come back into the building or in the building in another capacity, that they would put on another type, maybe some sweatpants or another outfit to cover the shorts. If they're wearing shorts, the shorts should be 4 inches above the middle of the knee. And you'll see that theme as we go through this, that in all areas where we've got exposed leg and for either gender, that you're looking at shorts that are within 4 inches of the middle of the knee. We also added that leggings, skinny jeans, or other excessively tight-fitting pants, unless covered by a top or dress no shorter than 4 inches above the middle of the knee, are prohibited. So in other words, that the leggings and those that are worn now must have a covering at least 4 inches above the leg in order to be worn. All dresses, skirts, skirts, and similar garments that are shorter than 4 inches above the knee are also prohibited. Ear gauges are only permitted for employees who already have them and are employed by the board as of May 26, 2015. In all such cases, they must be no larger than the size of a nickel and filled with a plug that is the tone of the person's skin. Of course, this is always going to be in the workplace environment and should be, this whole policy and the requirements of the policy should be reviewed by the principal to their staff at the beginning of every school year. So as you can see, the theme is the 4 inches and the addition of the tattoos from the neck and face and the gauges that are worn in the ears. Those are the major changes.
And I will point out that the committee spent a great deal of time with this, thanks to Mr. Shell and Ms. Kavanaugh, and certainly senior staff and Mr. Bullard. This is something that we're not trying to curtail modern dress, but we just want our employees to dress in a professional manner.
Excuse me, and as you mentioned, the employees want employees to dress in a professional
Yes.
manner.
Well, I have some comments. I was the one that asked for the survey. I was the one that asked for this policy to be examined, because in the course of going around the county to talk, and in the course of talking to various principals, teachers, they all asked for this to be revisited, mainly because of the denim jean policy. And there is a lot of red on this, and the denim jeans are still on there. I just have a problem with us imposing what we always think should be acceptable, and not, we pride ourselves in this county to allow site-based decision-making, and yet we are taking it completely out of the hands of the principals. I disagree with the summary of what the survey shows. I think it showed either leave it alone. Some were saying, a few said maybe make it a little tighter. Moore said leave it alone or leave it up to the principal. That's what I saw. I just find it disappointing that we are coming through and imposing this sort of thing when I think it should be up to the principal to determine what works for their culture. If we have somebody that graduates that has a tattoo on their head, I have a daughter that has a tattoo back here. Whether or not she would be a good teacher does not have anything to do with that tattoo. It has to do with her grades. It has to do with how she relates to students. And I think the principal should be able to determine that. And then we're asking them to be clothing police. I think they have other things on their plate that are more important. So those are my comments.
Mr. Chairman, may I speak?
Yes.
We had discussed whether or not to leave it as a site-based decision.
Mm-hmm.
And we came to the conclusion that if we said it was, if a principal said it was okay, say at Murrayville, but it wasn't okay at Freeman, then you could have employees at one school with one type of dress code or whatever, and at another school with another one. And it would cause problems when you transfer. And in essence, you couldn't have one person transfer from one school to another because of the dress code. But if it was the uniform dress code, employees knew what was going on throughout the county.
I don't think that would be an issue about why someone would not want to transfer. But I still maintain that it should be up to the principals to decide what works for their school. And we're coming along and imposing what we think with no scientific data, no evidence that it causes problems, what works. So
I think what we're trying to strive for is professionally dressed employees. I mean, where would you draw a line as far as tattoos on the face, gauges where you could drive a truck through? I mean, whatever. I think what I see that we're striving for is professional dress. That what would be acceptable, as an example for our children and for our community. I mean, in the business world, I mean, there's a professional dress, and like Ms. Kavanaugh states, I think one school could, an ex-surfer or something could be down there, and you don't know how it would end up. So I think it's an attempt for uniform professional dress. We expect our students to dress in a certain fashion, and I think that certainly the adults that are setting examples for these children should also dress professional.
One member of the committee, not a board member, actually brought up dress codes from, say, Disneyland and other major employees throughout the United States, and all of them had most of the things we had in our policy.
have you looked at Pixar?
No.
I mean, I could point to examples where it's exactly the opposite, where they allow the employees to dress as they feel comfortable because they're concerned about how they perform. So, again, I'm not going to win this one, but I'm just disappointed that I asked for one thing to be taken out and I'm staring at all this red. So, we'll see how it goes.
Well,
Mr. Chairman,
go ahead.
let me make a comment.
Go ahead.
I am on that committee. I serve with Jeanette and Janice, and my sense of things is more along the lines of Ms. Eastep. I would hate to lose professionals because of strengthening of a policy. I think you've got principals and supervisors in the schools that if they're, and they are, dedicated to educating our students and a culture of learning, it will take care of itself. I oppose not so much any one particular item, but I just feel like you're stacking up more and more things of what people can't do instead of focusing on what we can do. And I put my support behind the principals and supervisors. It does say supervisors and school level administrators are authorized to interpret and enforce this policy. We talked about some things that some of our staff said, well, that's not enforceable. So some of those things were not put in here. So there was balance on the committee, there was discussion, there was an attempt to do things to create an environment where you didn't have distractions. But my sense is that's what you have principals for, and it's that school. So that's my 2 cents. I'm not in favor of the policy. I respect the conversation on it, but I will not be voting for it.
Well, should the same thing apply to students? Should there not be any dress codes for our students?
This is not saying there's no dress code. This is
But you're saying leave it up to the principals in the school.
Which we do
Yes.
now.
No, I think it's pretty uniform. We expect our employees to dress in a professional manner. Am I not right, Dr. Holliday? There
Well-
are certain things that are restricted at this point.
Well, I just respectfully disagree with tightening it when you have 43, 44 different cultures, and you've got principals dedicated to a learning environment. I don't know why you need to go with this personally. That's just me.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest to you that having been on this board for many years, we have plowed this ground before, and what happened was that interpretation, broad interpretation, often meant no enforcement of anything. I was just, the thing with the tattoos, I mean, it's not, well, it does kind of outlaw it here, but I know at the hospital, you can have a tattoo, but it cannot be visible. You have to cover it up. If you've got tattoos on your arms, you have to wear long sleeves all the time. If you got tattoos on your neck, you have to wear high collars so that it is not visible. That is the requirement at the hospital. So, that would be the only change that I would suggest would be that if there are going to be tattoos, they cannot be visible to the naked eye.
That was the spirit of the committee. In fact, we discussed makeup could be used,
Well,
or clothing could be used
right.
to cover it up. We're not going to say if you've got a tattoo and it's covered with a piece of clothing, you can't work it.
Well, okay.
And we're not saying all tattoos, we're only saying those that are on the neck and the head and the face, because we know, and we talked about this, we have teachers who, or employees that have tattoos that have not been a distraction and not been an issue. So it's just that we listened to and read the reports, and the committee had offered a lot of input and suggestions. This is for first reading, so again, we always ask for written input for revisions or consideration to go back to the policy committee, and certainly you're always welcome to attend.
Can I just complicate the issue a little further?
Please.
I actually supported Ms. Estep's request to take a look at this for the denim jean issue, and I think I would like to see us kind of look at this a little more closely, because I think that, jeans have kind of have changed a lot over the decades that they were first introduced, and so there's an affordability concern here. If we have staff that are have denim jeans that are in good shape and don't have holes and aren't skin tight, I don't see the issue with allowing that as because I think you can depending on how you wear them, it can be appropriate. So I do want us to revisit that. The other issues with the skinny jeans, I understand that, and when you look at and the shorts not being too short or too revealing, especially in the middle and high school area where you have teenage children, boys and girls, who might be distracted by an attractive male or female teacher, that can be a bit of an issue. It can be a distraction from the core purpose of the programs. So I don't have any objection to that. Just the denim jeans, I think, is I think we can leave that to the discretion of the principal, and as long as it's appropriate, like I said, not dirty or holes in them or things like that, I think that's something that we can allow just from an affordability standpoint.
Well, why wouldn't you allow holes in the jeans? That's popular, isn't it?
You pay
I mean,
extra.
aber-
You pay
don't
extra
they-
for that.
Don't you pay big bucks for?
You do. It's popular with very young, young teenagers, but I don't see many adults wearing those types of.
They might.
They could, but again, that would be, I would think a teacher, we have a fantastic group of teachers in this county, and I think they all are pretty intelligent people and can make those decisions and know what's appropriate and inappropriate. I'm just looking at this from an affordability standpoint. I don't want them to think they have to go out and purchase, dress slacks or, that kind of thing when something that they already have in their closet may be appropriate. Even though it's just a.
Have you bought a pair of jeans lately?
Yes, I have, actually.
I mean, last pair of my children wanted to buy, and that's been 10 years ago, with $200. I mean,
That's
you buy.
designer jeans.
Well, I mean,
That's
that's
the ones with holes in
a
them.
dress. That's dress jeans.
There's lots of places that you can get clothing that's affordable. I don't know many teachers who are buying $200 pair of jeans.
Well,
if they
I mean-
are, then
I'll go shopping with you then.
Yeah.
$200 pair of jeans.
Yeah.
Well,
so-
I might say that when Mr. Hayes and I were in school and they weren't allowed, they were called dungarees.
They were, exactly.
Of course, back in those days, I guess it was very archaic that they dressed in a professional manner, and that there were dresses and suits worn.
And no air conditioning.
Shirt and ties.
And no air conditioning, that's right, a shirt and tie. I mean, I agree with you that we do have a great group of teachers and employees in the system. And the comments I hear from them is they want to be seen and treated as a professional class. And I don't think you do that in some of these facial tattoos and some of this other stuff that would be allowed in some schools. I don't think the majority
I'm not talking
I know,
about
I'm just
tattoos.
putting everything together.
I have no issue with tattoos as long as
Well,
they're
we
not
would
visible.
appreciate something in writing for the
Yeah,
committee.
it's all for first
Sure,
reading,
sure.
so all comments, we can make them to, that might be some motion that, when it comes forward.
The next policy is a new policy. It's going to be 9023, and as Dr. Wellmers pointed out, we have taken the volunteer dress code and made it a separate policy because we're certainly want to express our appreciation for all of our volunteers, and we want to work with them as carefully as possible. So, Dr. Wellmers, you want to add to that, please?
Yes, ma'am. The volunteer dress code does vary from the personnel dress code or the employee dress code in that it doesn't have the stipulations of the things that are prohibited. It basically is saying that the volunteers should not present a bodily appearance or wearing clothing, visible tattoos, or appliances which are disruptive or provocative or revealing or profane, obscene, or which would endanger the health or safety of any students or of employees. So it does take into account what the volunteers might wear, the different school settings that volunteers come into, and as Ms. Nichols said, to support them and to recognize what they do for the school system.
Thank you, Dr. Wellmers. Do you have any comments about this policy? Okay, thank you. The next policy is a new policy. It's going to be 5040. This is pre-qualifications of bidders for construction projects. And Mr. Hanson, Mr. Bullard, if you would like to share this one, please.
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, this is this is for just for construction projects, and it's for pre-qualification of bidders for those construction projects. It would give us a greater flexibility in the the method of, that we utilize for construction projects would allow us to pre-qualify bidders. Once those bidders are pre-qualified, then those would be the only ones allowed to bid on a specific project. And it would be project specific. This process would have to be followed for each project in which you were going to pre-qualify bidders. It's not to say that we would pre-qualify bidders for all projects, but only on select projects which we determine that this would be a benefit to the school system for a pre-qualification process. And it lays out the procedures and the process to be followed if we choose to pre-qualify bidders, and it also has an appeals process listed there as well.
Mr. Bullard, did you want to add anything?
The only thing I would add to that is that we are considering using a new method of contracting called construction management at risk on some of the projects to be funded with the bond money. That will be brought to the board with some additional information at a later time. But in order to do that, the statute requires you to do pre-qualification if you're going to use that method. And so in anticipation of the board approving using that method on certain projects, we needed to have this policy in place before that time.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions?
Any questions on?
Okay. And the last policy is another new policy, 50/50. This is construction dispute of resolution. And Mr. Hance?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair. And this goes along with the pre-qualification bidders in the previous policy. It is required for us to have a construction dispute resolution policy if we are going to use the methodology that Mr. Bullard mentioned, which is construction management at risk. And this would be for all of our construction projects. It's just a method to allow us to settle and reconcile disputes between the contractors and the owner or ourselves. And it allows us to go to, or requires us actually to go to a non-binding mediation prior to entering into litigation.
And Mr. Bullard, would you like to add anything to this one?
No, ma'am. It is required by the statute to have this. We've always had a procedure like this. We're just formalizing it into policy. It's not something that's commonly used, but it is a good idea to have it on the books just in case it is ever necessary to try to resolve a dispute with the contractor.
Okay, thank you. And again, these are policies on for first reading. We encourage comments from the board as well as the community. They are posted online for your convenience. Thank you, Mr. Hayes.
Thank you, Mrs. Nichols. Excuse me. Item B is Community Eligibility Provision, CEP, Appendix D presentation. Mr. Hance.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to call Ms. Eimer Smith up, our Child Nutrition Director, and she'll make a presentation for the Community Eligibility Provision. As you know, we approved this last year, and we're adding 2 or 3 schools this year, I believe, to this program.
All right. Welcome. Thank you for allowing us to have the community eligibility provision at our 17 schools this current year. I would like to start off with letting you know that with breakfast, we have seen a tremendous increase in breakfast participation because of this provision. We've also seen an increase in lunch participation. So I'm going to go through my presentation for you. It's going to be really quick and simple. I would like to say, what is CEP? There was in section, back in 2010, it came out with the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act. And with that, there came a lot of different stipulations as far as the different regulations that we had to follow in child nutrition. One thing that did change was that we were able to do a community eligibility provision. And with this act, it provides alternative, instead of the old way of collecting applications, we're able to look at our identified identified students. So the overall purpose of CEP is to improve access to nutritious meals for students in high poverty areas by providing meals to all students at no cost. And the requirements to participate in CEP is LEA must meet minimum requirements as prescribed in the rule. The LEA must participate, which we do, in the National School Lunch Program and the School Breakfast Program. And LEA must be in a good standing with the Administrative Review, which we are. community eligibility provision, which I'm going to refer to as CEP, is a 4-year term. I will go into more, if you do, it is a 4-year term. If you change the groups of schools during that 4-year term, you have to start back over again with year 1 again. So that's what we did do in order to get these 3 new schools on board for next year. So the LEA in schools may opt in or out each year, which we want to keep them in because it is a great provision. An LEA may participate in CEP for some or all schools in the LEA, which that's what we did last year. We had 17 schools participate. CEP, LEAs must have a minimum of 40% identified students, and I'm going to go into a little bit more clarification what identified students states. It's based on enrollment. This is not the same as, the demographic for free or reduced price meals. Okay, identified students. Well, who are they? We're looking at students that are on food stamps, SNAP, TAFNA. We're also looking at students that are homeless, runaway, migrants. We're looking at students who are Head Start, Even Start. We're also looking at students who are fosters, and then those students that are non-applicant students approved by the LEA, which that's defined as principals that have students qualify through means of knowing that they're in need, but there's no proof of documentation that they are homeless or fit any of these other categories. But we have very few of those. Those are very selective because we do have to go through an extensive process to get those students approved. Okay, determining school eligibility. A percentage of identified students must be determined by, we looked at the identified students as of April 1 is the key date, and then you multiply it by 100 by the total enrollment as of April 1st. So the percentage of identified students is then multiplied by the USDA determining factor of 1.6, which every year that determining factor does change. So this year, next year is 106 factor, and the enrollment is defined as the number of students with access to the National School Lunch Program and school breakfast enrollment in the school as of April 1st, 2015. And our magic number that I look at is 62.5. And that magic number tells me that the identified students, all meals are reimbursed at the free rate. For percentages below 62.5, meals are reimbursed at a combination of the free and paid rate, which we could go into that percentage below the 62.5. I like to keep my numbers above or at 62.5 because it keeps all the confusion of who owes what, and then I would have to ask you all for some money to pay for the difference, which I would like to make it easy as possible. So my magic number is 62.5. So our identified schools for next year are the same 17 that we currently had. And I will read those off to you. Freeman, College Park, Forest Hills, Mary C. Williams, Mosley Performance Learning Center, Lakeside, Winter Park, Alderman, Gregory, Lake Forest Academy, Sunset, Snipes, Williston, Wrightsboro, Virgo, Howe, and Johnson. Our new ones that we are looking at adding on for next year are Castle Hayne, Bradley Creek, and Seawreck. So CEP requirements. LEA Child Nutrition Department agrees to maintain a total count of breakfast and lunch served, which we do, at the point of service. LEA Child Nutrition Department agrees that it will not collect free and reduced applications from the household at these participating schools. So we are required not to give those students at CEP schools applications. And what are the advantages? Well, all students receive no cost breakfast or lunch. It eliminates identification of students, improves nutrition to students at risk. We also, potential for attendance rate and test scores. So hopefully we'll see those test scores improve this, what's happening this week, these coming weeks. Reduce paperwork at the school district level, which I have seen. I'm very pleased to say, and saved a lot of money. Increase breakfast and lunch participation, From this year, we have increased breakfast by 19%. That's about 69,000 meals. And for lunch, at these 17 CEP schools, we've increased by 7%. That's about 44,000 meals. And I just want to say thank you so much from the Child Nutrition Department for supporting us with CEP, and I look forward to adding on the next 3 schools for next year.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Mr. Higgins?
Any questions?
Yes, I do.
Yes, sir.
There's been a lot in the newspaper and stuff about the issue of school lunches and the fact that the discussion about students not liking what's offered to them and dumping fruit that's perfectly good and other things. I would just like for you to comment about what has been observed in these schools where they're not having to pay for it. And you know, unfortunately, sometimes if you don't have to pay for it, you don't have an investment in it, so you don't care. I just wondered if there's been any feedback about how much food is or is not even being wasted as a result of these programs.
Well, I can say that, you know, from the 17 schools, I've heard positive comments. Now, on food waste, I have seen not only in the 17 schools, but the other schools, there is some, not waste, but they're using their resources of the, you know, maybe the products that the children prefer not to have. They do have a table that's available for students to share. I know some schools have like a share table with fruit, so they're able to share that fruit. Now, there are probably days where we do have an overabundance of fruit or vegetable that the children prefer not to eat. But we are, with nutrition education, trying to increase their awareness to eat those products because we know that they have great nutritional value in them. It's just getting the message to the children. Maybe they're not used to the product. Maybe they're not, you know, having that type of item at home. I think the more that you show or offer certain things to children, they're more apt to take it. But I have seen, and I will be honest, that there probably, with this is something that the federal government is looking at, this possibility of maybe making a little bit more linear, you know, regulation as far as making it to where we don't have to make children have a fruit or a vegetable on a tray.
Well, I mean, we had the presentation, last month about obesity.
Yes, sir.
And the importance that if our students, and unfortunately, obesity seems to be more prevalent in many of the low-income schools than maybe in some of the more higher-income schools. I guess the second question I have then is, what are we doing to help both educate and to encourage students at kindergarten and first and second grade to develop a liking for Brussels sprouts or you know, such things as that?
I don't
I
even
heard
like
that was a
Brussels
topic.
sprouts.
No. You know, we did have some roasted Brussels sprouts. Roasted, they were not raw.
Well, I mean, you know, but
I think, you know, with child nutrition, we did do a campaign called Rethink Your Drink. We focused on drinking more water, drinking better beverages. I had a student from UNCW go out and teach children about drinking water and thinking better about, you know, soft drinks. As far as, you know, the food items, I mean, I kind of disagree, you know, with, I think you know, we need to start at home. We need to start educating the parents. Let's educate the parents on, you know, not only is it eating properly, but we have to focus on physical activity. I believe the two are paired together. We know that if you're physically active and if you eat better, your brain functions better, your body metabolism's better. You know, I think that, you know, I think there is a part of the curriculum with, and I don't know, Dr. LaShawn, Smith, if you could, I know in kindergarten they focus on the food, you know, pyramid. Well, not the pyramid anymore. It's my plate.
They threw that out, didn't they?
But I think they focus on different food groups. With phys ed, they do have I think they do have a part in health about eating properly. But you know, there's only so much that we can fit in a day, and I think that we need to, all of us as a community needs to come together, and which we are part of this other committee called Obesity Prevention Committee, which we did go out and campaign in New Hanover County. All of us were doing the same thing and talking the same thing about Rethink Your Drink. And, you know, we went out to, I know the health department campaigned it, we campaigned it in child nutrition, going out to our schools. So it's a whole community event. Did I answer that question, or can I talk a little bit more? I love talking about health and nutrition.
I understand, and I don't disagree with you that and I think one of the things we said at the meeting last month was that it really needs to begin at home. But sometimes beginning at home has to start with beginning at the school, getting kids introduced to things they may not otherwise would have at home, and learn what these things are, and come home and say to their parents, broccoli's not the worst thing in the world.
And I agree with that. I have had some parents come up to me and say, you wouldn't believe what my child's eating now. I mean, not only in school, but I mean, we need to look at pre-K centers. Right. We need to look at daycares. We need to look at, you know, the WIC clinics, in which they're doing a fabulous job educating. I know with our health regulations, we are very restricted on what we can serve with the new smart snack standards. So, you know, we know exactly how much sodium's in a meal, how many calories are in a meal. Like I said, you know, it's a team effort. I've preached this before, that, you know, if a child eats one lunch with us a day out of the whole, I mean, it's only 17% of what they consume in a day if they eat a lunch with us. So where's the other 93% going? And, you know, we have to think globally, you know, we have to think overall.
Well, now you're giving them two meals. You're giving them breakfast and lunch.
You eat breakfast and lunch?
But the bottom line,
some of them do, yes.
It really doesn't make any difference, because what's bad today will be good several months from now with a new study, and then it keeps changing.
It changes
When I
all
was
the
in
time.
Washington in February, a number of us spoke with our legislators, explaining the frustration that we had with waste in the schools and with children not liking what they've been given, and talking about the First Lady's recommendations for school lunches, and asked if there was any way our legislators could help us with some leeway. I have not heard anything positively about that as of yet. If I hear anything, I'll let you know.
Well, I think that, yeah, I think the, you know, and I do appreciate the fact that you, hi, Amber, how are you?
Hello.
I do appreciate the fact that you're attempting to educate students and parents on nutrition and proper nutrition and that type of thing. But the issue is not so much that we are feeding them healthy food, it's that they're getting more food than they need. When you look at the list of schools, the vast majority of them are the ones that the health department showed us had obesity problems. And so, you know, outside of being able to make those decisions for them and their parents, it's not going to be something that we as a school system can solve. You know, I think that has to do with a lot of the waste in terms of, you know, they don't necessarily want it or need it because they're eating at home. So, I mean, ultimately it's up to the parent to make those determinations and to ensure that their children are getting proper nutrition and eating and not eating too many calories, because quite frankly, it's calories in, calories out. There's no, I mean, it's math. You can't fudge the math, honestly. I just recently lost about 25 pounds, and I will tell you it is math. I could eat Twinkies all day long as I stay under my calorie intake, I'll still lose weight. So might not be the healthiest person on the planet, but I'd still lose weight. So, you know, I think we have to understand the limitations of the school system, as you just brought up, Mr. Higgins. But I do have some concerns about the expansion of this program, because we have how many schools in the district now, Dr. Markley?
43.
3. Okay, so this equals almost half of our school systems that are, or our schools that are receiving or that are participating in this program, and that is concerning to me, because I think we want to encourage self-sufficiency, and those parents making those decisions, and it concerns me that they're becoming a little dependent on the school system to provide what they should as parents be providing. Can I ask you, how is this related to our, we have something on the agenda later on in the evening. Item Q, the paid lunch equity, increased lunch meal prices. Does this agenda item directly relate to this program itself? I mean, we're going to increase the lunch prices for students who are, or for parents who are paying for it, ostensibly to cover the gaps, the shortfalls. Is that
right?
Is that how I read that? Or?
It is a federal law that's that we do have a tool that we use to look at paid meals, and we look at the number of paid meals and the different grade groups, and then we look at what we charge for the paid. And there is the federal government, and I can talk about it now. The federal government states that in order to meet those needs to pay for a meal, we should be charging about $2.70. Because what they're doing is they're looking at the difference from the paid reimbursement rate, the free reimbursement rate, opposed to what we get reimbursement back for the paid meals. So with that, $2.70 is the magic number. We're charging $2.35. Honestly, right now, it doesn't cover, $2.35 does not cover a cost of what it takes to produce a meal. So, as you know, that we are enterprise, program for the school system, so we do rely on any way that we can, generate revenue to cover our costs. We do get reimbursement back, which is a plus for these 17 schools, and not all children have to participate in, the meals at no cost. They can bring their lunches in at those schools. So with the 17 schools, every paid meal is $3.06. It takes about $3, and I have that down right here. I was glad you asked that question because I do have that down. It takes approximately $2.98 to produce a meal. Breakfast is $1.49 to produce a meal in New Hanover County schools. So if you look at it, $3.06, yes, we are making a little bit off the free children to help cover the cost, but with paid meals, we're charging $2.35 plus the 36 cents. So we're not really covering all our cost to produce a meal. So that's why we have a la carte sales.
Well,
but those a la carte sales,
is the
that's another story.
$2.98, what is your reimbursement rate for the free rate?
$3.06.
So you're reimbursed $3.06.
Right.
And right now it's costing how much
Right now, as of right now, $2 and, what did I say? $2.98.
So in these 17 schools, no one pays, so you don't receive,
No one pays, but participation, they don't have to eat with us. So we do look to hopefully increase participation. Was proven that it did increase at these 17 schools. So we do get a little bit more revenue.
But all children there, just everyone, even those that could afford to pay, do not.
Right.
Okay.
That's correct.
So then at these particular schools, because I know as an enterprise fund, you've got to do extra things to make up for the money to be self-sufficient.
Definitely.
But are there extras available at these schools also? Because I know they have extras where children can buy these things. Outside of that lunch program, are those still available?
They are still available. They all meet our smart snack standards. You got to think about, some children may bring their lunch to school, may want an extra from these CEP schools. But all the items do meet our smart snack standards. So we do, because the federal government only covers maybe 40+% of what it takes to run our program, we have to look at other ways to generate more revenue to cover the expenses.
Because the 62.5%, which you said was your magic number, correct?
Correct.
I don't really quite understand what other groups would be involved. that would be eligible for the free lunch figure anyway. The other groups you mentioned that also come in under this umbrella, they would automatically be entitled to the free lunch program, the vagrant children, the homeless and so forth.
Right.
But all those would be included in that percentage. I know the percentage has gone up in the county, so I didn't quite understand the 62.5.
The Community Eligibility Provision Act basically eliminated the requirement to demonstrate need.
Right.
So for what she's saying is that for the schools that had that magic 62.5% number that would meet that definition, that means that they are able to provide lunches and breakfast for all of the students at the school. So over 30% who probably were paying or could pay don't have to.
Right, I understand that, but
Right.
what I didn't understand was, how do you get to the 62.5?
Okay, and I'm glad, it's just not one individual school. You could look at individual schools, like it said earlier. You could look at individual schools, or you can group schools together. What I did in New Hanover County schools was I grouped the schools together to make it work. Otherwise, we would have less schools that would be able to participate in CEP. So what out of the 20 schools, we are at, for next year, 63%. Through the percentage, that magic number. So what you can group a school, you can group schools together to make it work to capture more schools in your CEP provision. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
I was just thinking that the different categories, that all those
Right.
children would be eligible. At least I think all the categories that I looked at would have been eligible for either a free or reduced lunch. Because in it, the whole school is, if you're getting reimbursed the 307 for the whole school, and then that's more, you like say you're making a little bit of money to offset, I guess, from the other schools.
Right.
Well, but not to be a curmudgeon, but that seems to be my MO lately. Where does the federal government get their money? They get their money from the taxpayer, and so the taxpayer is not only funding the free and reduced lunch program, but so are the people who are paying for their children's lunch on a daily basis. I think if everybody paid for their own lunch, we'd all see the prices come down, actually. That's just, I'm not picking on you, Eimer, at all. I love you dearly. I mean, no disrespect to you.
I'm just trying to help the students out in New Hanover County in any way that I can.
And I appreciate your efforts, quite frankly. I have no
There are children
issue
in
with you.
need that we would never know about.
Yes.
Believe me. And
I
this
have a
has
question.
helped.
Why did Holly Shelter why aren't they included as one of the schools?
They were close. Out of all the schools, Holly Shelter was about 37%.
Well, I see where Castle Hayne made it, but Holly Shelter didn't.
Right. So, and Castle Hayne was about 45% identified students. You do have to look at the ratio of how many students are in that school, and then you take that equation and you look at how many identified students. So they did have less identified students at Holly Shelter. They are right there at that border. So I was able to, last year I had Castle Hayne and Bradley Creek on my radar, and they were able to get into our new group.
Okay.
See, at Holly Shelter, you'd be pulling from a larger geographic
It
area.
is. Well,
than you
not only
would
that,
The
I mean,
elementary, which would be a more concentrated, so it'd be easier to get to that figure.
They have over 700 students at Holly Shelter, so you have to look at the ratio. That's why, I
That would
tried to
affect
pull in
that.
some more schools, but it just didn't work. So I was proud that I was able to get 3 more schools on board. And hopefully more next year. Every year I'm gonna try for more. Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other?
Aren't you there for the next one?
The next one,
Stand
our
up
seamless summer option.
I will talk about summer food service, which we used to call that summer food service. Now we call it seamless summer option. It's under DPI. It was under DHHS. Now it's under the DPI division. So here we go, seamless summer option.
Do you need to take a break before we,
No, I'm fine. I can talk. Do you all need to take a break?
Oh, no, we're
Okay,
fine.
okay. I can talk. All right, seamless summer. So here we go. 2014, New Hanover County Schools in the purple. We're feeding about a needy, about 16 to 20% of our needy population in New Hanover County New Hanover County.
Is it hard?
And you can look at that, okay. What is SSO, which we call it? Seamless Summer Option allows school food authorities to provide free summer meals in low-income areas during the traditional vacation period, because hunger never takes a break. I love that motto. Why is summer nutrition so important? Because we know that during the summer months, families are spending more money on food. These kids can eat all day long. So, you know, it looks like an average of $316 more per month. Families are finding it harder, and believe me, I know, to make ends meet during the summer. Meals at no cost, that's what Seamless Summer is all about. Children 18 years of age or younger can qualify at these sites, or individuals over the age of 18 who participate in school programs for a state-defined mental or physical disability. So last summer, what did we do? In child nutrition, we served 28,400 meals. That was about an average over a little bit over 1,000 a day. We had 27 service days at 23 different sites. This summer, we plan to serve at 19 sites, and you might want to ask, why do we have less sites? Well, we did see that there was some low participation at particular sites, so we were able to consolidate those sites. And we're planning to serve over, hopefully, 1,600 children per day, with 24 days of service. And our sites run Monday through Thursday as a scheduled New Hanover County School schedule, June 29th through August 6th. We are going to look at Freeman, Creekwood, Vesta Village, Maids Park, Bradley Creek, Hillcrest, Houston Moore, Village at Greenfield, Gervais, Mary C. Williams, Virgo, Gregory, Martin Luther King Center, Warren Temple, Brightsboro, Snipes, Castle Hayne, Alderman, and our new one, one of our new ones, Royal Palms Mobile Home Park, off Carolina Beach.
How's the schools that are switching to year-round going to impact this?
How are they going to impact this?
Well, how is it going to impact your program?
Well, we had Sunset on last year, so we're not able to have that, use that facility. But as far as the children, is that what you're talking about?
Because some of them will have a shorter summer break coming out the end of the school year.
Right. So what we've already kind of looked at some of these areas where some of these kids are being pulled from to go to these year-round schools. And we're hoping that with marketing, getting the word out earlier, that maybe we can capture, you know, maybe we might not see such a big difference. So that's why I want to go. I want to go ahead and get it out in the June meeting. Get it out. We've already gotten it out to the schools. We've already gotten out in public releases that where we're serving. So hopefully it won't make too much of an impact, I'm hoping. But every year is unpredictable. You never know what can happen.
Why do we have so many locations that are so close in proximity? Some of them are only 2 blocks away from each other.
Right. We do have some programs at some of these sites that have day camps. You also have to look at safety. Are the kids able to get, you know, from like where they live in the community? Like Houston Moore, we have a site here. Down the street is Hillcrest. We're just trying to think, you know, we're looking at, a lot of these are, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but a lot of these children are very young in age. We're talking 2, 3, 4.
I was looking at 319 South 10th and 401 South 8th. That's only 2 blocks away from each other.
It is. We do have a program that New Hanover County Schools running, a Title I program that will be in Williston Middle School, that we're able to pull students over to Gregory to feed students. And at Martin Luther King, they do have a summer camp that they have had for years and years that have several, over 60 or 70 children that participate in that camp. You know, we're just trying to look at safety, making it more easy. If Martin Luther King's on one side of the street on 10th Street, on the other side is Gregory. So we're trying to capture those children closer to New Hanover High School, over off Orange Street. Hopefully we'll come and eat at Gregory, and then the children on the other side of 10th Street, near Martin Luther King Center that participate in the pool will come over and eat with us at Martin Luther King. Yeah, so it's, I mean, I know it's a dense area, but we've thought it through, and we just think that that's the best for the children.
One of the things, and I raised this last year, and I'm gonna raise it again this year. Royal Palms Mobile Home Park is the farthest, is the most southern site you have. All the people who are south of Monkey Junction are just flat out of luck with this program. I mean, I don't know, and if you would tell me a particular schools, that would be one thing, but, you know, Royal Palms and Warner Temple and stuff, those are not schools. So what I don't understand is why there is not a program that's, let's go halfway, at Anderson Elementary, that kids from Carolina Beach could come to, around Anderson, kids who would normally go to Bellamy would be able to come.
Transportation.
Well, but, I mean, I understand, but we're offering, you know, should you be denied? I mean, the closest then, if you're in Carolina Beach, you're gonna be able to get to Anderson, easier than you'll be able to get to Royal Palms Mobile Home Park.
But isn't it based upon your free and reduced lunch numbers?
It is.
In the schools in that area? Because I agree with Mr. Higgins, and I bring it up every year, and what I understand, Carolina Beach just barely misses by a couple.
It does.
In some of those schools.
And in order to qualify a site, it has to be within an area where, you know, you're looking at the poverty level, and we kind of look at schools with 50% or more free and reduced. At Anderson, Bellamy, Ashley, Murray, they don't, none of those schools qualify.
I thought Bellamy had a fairly high free and reduced lunch.
They're high, but they're not up to 50%. So we do, and I did look at Carolina Beach to see if there were any pockets that would meet those, the level, the percentage of what the state allows me to use as a site, and I could not find a pocket.
So what you're saying is places like, and I just pick it out, Royal Palms Mobile Home Park can have a site because they're in the Mary C. Williams district?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, and I know that there are over 200 children in the Royal Palms area, and I'm hoping to capture all of them.
Well, I understand, and I don't have a problem with that. Please,
right.
I'm not having a problem.
No, I understand.
With that. I'm just having a problem with probably 1,000 potential students, elementary, middle, high school, under the age of 18, who live south of Monkey Junction, who their parents are not going to get the benefit of this program. And it just strikes me as just so inequitable that we'll do these, but I'm sorry about you down there, but y'all just aren't going to get it. I mean.
And it's amazing in New Hanover County, I'm a sponsor. There are numerous other sponsors in New Hanover County. I know that there is a sponsor that probably is, because they don't look, I don't know how they get qualified. I know the Brigade Boys and Girls Club is a sponsor, the Boys and Girls Club. I know further north,
do you know of any sponsors in the southern part of the county?
I will get that for you.
I mean, I would feel a lot better.
Yes.
If I knew that
there was
some
sponsors.
program, even if it wasn't our program, that was reaching out to those kids down in the southern part of the county.
And there is a website that has all the sponsors listed, and I'll get that to you.
Thank you,
okay,
ma'am.
I will.
Because I know I had the same frustration, because I know years ago, you know, I talked with you that called Raleigh, called DC to see, and they about combining zip codes to come up with these percentages. But the rules you have to abide by.
Right.
This is what you can do.
Right. And every year I try. Believe me, it's a new slate every year. I don't think I have anything else after this slide. I just say thank you again for your support. I appreciate it, and thank you for letting me feed the children in New Hanover County Schools.
Any other questions?
Any questions? No?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Ben asked at this time we'll take a short 5-minute break.
Thank you.
We're going to take a 15-minute, 5-minute break.
Southern 5.